Okay, it's Thursday, 5 May, the year of our Lord 2022. You're in the War Room Battleground. We're rolling over from our previous, from War Room, the first hour. Dr. Naomi Wolf was walking us through her timeline when breaking news, and Dr. Wolf, you can come in here and correct me, but breaking Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine. This is from the FDA. After conducting an updated analysis, evaluation, investigation of reported cases, the FDA has determined that the risk of thrombosis and thrombocytopenia syndrome warrants limiting the authorized use of this vaccine. Dr. Wolf, can you explain what this is about the J&J? I mean, you're investigating the Pfizer, the 55,000 pages that were supposed to be under seal for 70 years. A federal court said that's not going to happen. Almost 3,000 War Room posse members, along with over 250 lawyers, have volunteered to go through these documents. It's stunning. And Dr. Wolf will just walk us through the timeline. What is going on here with the J&J vaccine and this announcement from the FDA, ma'am?
I mean, I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because it's heartbreaking. I mean, this is one source, right? But you're right. The FDA is announcing it on their official Twitter feed. And just a note, it's not Pfizer that is under investigation by these 3,000 volunteers. It's the FDA. The FDA is the one that asked the court to let them hide what they did for 75 years. The FDA is even more culpable than Pfizer, a private company, because the FDA is tasked with exactly keeping us safe. So I think the War Room volunteers, the Daily Clout volunteers, have had an impact because these reports of thrombosis and thrombocytopenia and so many thrombotic events, which means blood clots in the vein, in the brain, in the lungs, and damage to the heart through clotting, clots in people's legs. The numbers are vast in VAERS, not just for the Pfizer vaccine, but for all the vaccines. So I read this as them.
This plays into the guy. By the way, this plays into my own personal thing of people I know that if I'm not vaxxed, but they've taken the vax. A couple of friends of mine that are over 50 years old, they have had they've had these blood clots. They had to go to hospitals. Some of them were in the hospital for a week after being vaccinated. Is this reinforced that they were not, in fact, when they went to hospital, people said, oh, this is the vax. You've got the vax clot, the vax blood clot. Is this reinforced those people that have been saying out there that people like you that have been mocked and ridiculed of being some sort of nutcase? Does this reinforce that what you've been talking about the entire time is actually the facts and true and not some sort of conspiracy theory?
Well, it is actually a conspiracy because the FDA, they don't have new information. This is why I'm so angry. I'm laughing, but I'm furious, right? This is not new information. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thrombosis and thrombocytopenia type events in VAERS from all of these vaccines. What's notable is J&J is the least connected politically and the least able to hold hostage, the FDA, HHS, CDC. So they, started with J&J, but there's no new evidence. They are under the gun. And so they're throwing J&J under the bus. Oh, it warrants limiting the authorized use of the vaccine. They should have said that 10 months ago when that the bodies were stacking up with blood clots and the symptoms and the damage to people's bodies was stacking up with blood clots. This is purely political. I mean, better late than never. And it's a victory to some extent. It certainly validates, that the brave people who've been warning that there are problems with these vaccines are telling the truth. But what this really shows is the complete breakdown of the process that is supposed to be keeping us safe and alerting us to these dangers many, many, many months ago when they knew. So it's great. And, yes, it validates those of us who've been saying this for nearly 2 years.
So Blockbuster News, I might mention it comes after the market. In a few minutes, we're going to have John Gordon, who's running for Attorney General in Georgia. We're also going to have Phillip Patrick about the meltdown and everything. Dr. Wolf, while we've got you, I just got to go back. I want to ask one question. We'll have you back on tomorrow to go through in more detail this timeline. You said something in the previous segment. I just want to make sure I heard it correctly. You said that by December 2020, they knew they either had waning efficacy in certain cases, they had no efficacy in others, they might have even had vaccine harm. I want to make sure that I understand this before we can talk later about the joint ventures in China and everything came where they try to expand with partners to make 1 billion doses. But in that first part of it, when you say Pfizer knew, or the documents will show you Pfizer knew, what did Pfizer know in November and December of 2020 about the efficacy of the vaccine that they then went out and mass distributed to people starting in early January and February of 2021?
I will tell you, but first I'll note that today is also the day that our first lawyer's letter went to an attorney general. And maybe it's a coincidence that Pfizer, issued this warning and this alert limiting the use of the J&J vaccine on the same day that our first volunteer lawyer wrote their first letter to an attorney general saying, causes of action are at stake, crimes are being committed. But I think it's a notable coincidence. Moving on to what Pfizer knew in December of 2020, 1 month after the rollout of the vaccine, their internal documents show 3 categories, none of them good. Vaccine failure is one, waning efficacy is another, and the result of having COVID as a side effect is the third. So what your takeaway should be from that, remember that the baseline for emergency use authorization, skipping ahead for, bypassing all the trials, is that something has to be safe and effective. So by December 2020, Pfizer knew it was not effective. And so millions of people got vaccinated thinking it would protect them from COVID. The president said, Dr. Fauci said, Rochelle Walensky said, these vaccines will protect you from COVID. But Pfizer knew for 5 months when this mantra was going, it will protect you, it's safe, it's effective, they knew it did not protect you. It either would wane over time or it wouldn't work in the first place, or you'd get COVID after having been injected, those 3 categories. And it wasn't until April of 2021 when a study came out from Israel saying, oh, look, waning effectiveness, and then immediately there was a campaign for boosters and then more boosters, right? But Pfizer knew for those 5 months that it was not going to protect you. And that's really criminal because people got sick and died because they thought they were protected.
Dr. Wolf, how do people get to still volunteer? There's 2,500 to 3,000 volunteers from the War Room Posse. You have over 250 lawyers. You've started sending out now letters to attorney generals to alert them to what your preliminary findings are. There's people in Substack, they're doing summaries of this for the layman. We're putting those up. You're going to come back and we're going to have a webinar where you start to go through this. How do people follow you on social media? How do they join up? And quite frankly, how do they support you at dailyclout.io?
Thank you. Well, I just want everyone to have a takeaway that they're making a difference, and it's not top down, it's leadership from the grassroots up. So the War Room Posse and all you viewers should take a bow. You're making a difference. You're scaring them, and that's good. So you can come to dailyclout.io, go to the right-hand side, click on campaigns. You can join the Pfizer campaign as a volunteer, as a lawyer doing communications, or just as a citizen volunteer. Citizen volunteers are unstoppable. And you can continue to support us with checks. Thank you very much, because we're going full speed ahead and paying our lawyers and paying our expenses to get justice done. But it's just the beginning. I mean, these people better watch out because we're not going to stop. There's going to be justice.
Dr. Wolf, in fact, I have the sign in the other show, the studio, when we got the camera that angle, that we don't believe in conspiracies. There's no conspiracies, but there's no coincidences. And I just got to say, you're now sending letters out to attorney generals. You're putting your findings up. And then the FDA says, upon further conducted updated analysis and evaluation and investigation of reported cases, they dropped this today. Hey, there's no coincidences. And I just got to give a hat tip to the War Room Posse, to the lawyers particularly that have jumped in here and done it. It's just incredible. Your work's been incredible. I mean, this is historic. And thank God for the people that went to federal court and went there and said, we cannot be like the Warren Commission. We can't have these sealed for 70 years. We need to see this. It was that federal judge that made all the difference, that allowed that information to come out there, and then to have people and everybody in this audience, everybody in the war room that's done this, it's historic. So Dr. Wolf, thank you so much. You're making a huge difference.
Well, I'm just reporting. It's the volunteers and Amy Kelly who are doing the historic heavy lifting. But I agree with you. It's a marvel of citizen power and effectiveness. It's turning the tide of history.
Dr. Wolf, thank you. Look forward. We're going to talk afterwards. Try to get you back on tomorrow. Subject to your time. We are having the financial analyst from Wall Street on to talk about these pharmaceutical companies. Okay, Boris, you're with me. I know we're burning daylight, so let's go. I want to give it to John. If Phillip Patrick can hang for a moment, we want Boris and I and Phillip want to talk about market meltdown. I want to go to John Gordon, and knowing what I've seen on this Pfizer and this, what I got to ask you, John, why would anybody want to come out of retirement and be an attorney general for a state? It's got to be one of the toughest jobs in America, just being attorney general. Every major issue comes to, and a lot of minor issues comes on your desk. And I got to tell you, I think a lot of people appreciate the fact that you've come out of retirement to do this and say, hey, I want to serve the state of Georgia. I know it's for other issues, but this whole thing with the vaccines and the mandates and all that are also going to be massive issues starting later this year and early next year. So John, can you tell us one, why you're doing it, and two, how the campaign's going?
Well, I'm doing it very simply because I love America. I think it's a great country. It's been so good to me, my family. I have never been more worried about the direction that we're headed. If you look at what the Biden administration has done, it's just mind-boggling. I heard Don Jr. say the other day, if someone wanted to destroy our country, they would do exactly what Joe Biden has done, and I have to agree with him. I mean, President Trump left our country in such phenomenally good state, and in just over a year, this liberal socialist administration is destroying the country that we all love.
John, real quickly, there's been this controversy today. David Perdue says he's going to call a special session with this situation with Roe v. Wade. He's going to make it a state that's a sanctuary for the unborn. As Attorney General, what can you tell the people of Georgia?
Well, I think that the issue of abortion, I think the Supreme Court decision actually is very good. There's nothing in the Constitution that says anything about abortion, and it really should be a states' rights issue. And as I understand it, that's what the opinion sounds like it's going to go, in that direction. And so I think that is the right decision. I think that's the right way to resolve this.
I got to tell you, it's a barn burner down there. We've got a bus tour that's going on down there right now with John Fredericks. We're going to be very close to this. John, thank you so much for taking time away. I know you're campaigning nonstop. How can people find out more about you personally, and how can they find out about your campaign if they want to support it? How can they find out how to do that?
Well, I just left the John Fredericks bus tour on my way to Covington, Georgia for another appearance. You can go to www.jg for AG. There's even a donate button in the top right-hand corner if you choose. We're all about election integrity, protecting your constitutional rights, protecting our communities from crime and our children from CRT and gender identity counseling. So that's what we're running on, and we'd be grateful to have your support.
John Gordon, thank you very much. Honored to have you on here.
My pleasure. Thank you, Steve.
I want to bring in Boris Epshteyn. We're going to take Phillip Patrick at Breaking News. I got to tell you, Boris, I've never seen a news cycle like this. Massive market meltdown because of Biden's policies.
Right.
Phillip Patrick of Birch Gold warned us about this. Huge news on Air Greitens. Huge news down in Georgia on Naomi Wolf's on talking about her historic with the Warren Posse investigation of Pfizer, and all of a sudden the FDA announces this on the J&J vaccine. It's just one thing after the other. We got races. We got Dave Bossie coming from Nebraska. We're going to go to West Virginia. It's just intense. I want to pivot real quickly to Georgia. Perdue threw down today hard, and Kemp is out with the Bushes. He's out with the Bushes. Eric Wright's going to be on here in a second with the Karl Rove situation. The Bushes just don't go away. They're like weeds. You try to get rid. You try to pull them up. You try to get rid of them. They keep coming back, sir.
No doubt about it. The establishment, it will not go away. They won't go back to their place. Too many of them don't realize that their time is gone. The MAGA is in control. President Trump's 55 and O in his endorsements in Texas, Ohio, and Indiana. President Trump is the undisputed leader of MAGA and of the Republican Party. And, as sad as it is for those establishment people, they better realize it soon, because they have no standing left in today's Republican Party. It is the MAGA movement that's in control under the leadership of President Trump.
Biden, we didn't have time to play it, but we played a 6-minute cold open for the first hour. Biden doesn't even call it the Republican Party anymore. He says it's MAGA and ultra MAGA, right. And it's the most radical movement in American political history. What say you, sir?
We'll have it. Hey, if that's how they poll tested it, that it's better to refer to us as MAGA and ultra MAGA, that's great. You think that somehow hurts us? That is the best thing you could do to identify us as MAGA, because Republican can still mean, country club, khakis, all that fancy stuff. That's not who we are. We're raw and we're dirty and we're having a good time, okay? We are MAGA. You've got that right, Joe Biden. That's the only thing Biden's gotten right in about 30 years. This is MAGA and it's ultra MAGA, and we're all about making America great again. From President Trump's historic win in 2016 to his win in 2020 to the wins in 2022 to another historic win in 24 for President Trump. We are winning all across the board. And look at just last couple of days. The news from the Supreme Court, President Trump's 3 appointed constitutional justices appear to be throwing out Roe v. Wade, the big-time wins in Ohio, and now the news in terms of what's happening with the J&J vaccine, always signaling that noise for this audience. We talk about this for a long time on the show. Wins for Eric Greitens in Missouri, in terms of what's going on there with his attempted railroad by Rove that's failed so miserably. So it's all about winning for MAGA all across the country, and I'm so excited for it to continue as we roll on 22 into 24.
Let's bring in Phillip Patrick now. Has done such a great job of working with our audience about this, about what the choppiness of financial markets. And Phillip, I got to give you, Cortez and Navarro, a hat tip, and I'll take a small bow myself. The lead editorial tomorrow on page 1 of the Financial Times from Gillian Tett, who's their number 1 financial columnist, headline: "The Fed owes the American people some plain speaking. Chairman Jay Powell must acknowledge that free money has made asset prices unsustainably high." And she goes through the whole thing that we talk about here for last year. You can't continue to keep the printing presses going. It's all phony. It's all fake. At some point in time, you're going to have to stop. And when you stop, it's going to collapse. Okay. Jay Powell tried to give happy talk yesterday. That's where the markets had a little pop. And then today you start to see what's going on. Phillip Patrick, put it in perspective, sir.
Yeah, it's first of all, that, I mean, I can't put it much better than that. And I thought it was a fantastic article, actually, but it's absolutely spot on. And what we've seen in the markets over the last couple of days is just very clear evidence of that. Right. So they announced a 0.5% raise in interest rates yesterday, and the markets rallied. Right. It was a relief rally. And the reason it did, people were expecting, or some people, not us, we knew it would be 0.5%, but some analysts out there were expecting a little bit more aggressive, 0.75. So when he raised it 0.5%, the markets rallied. It's short-lived. Today has been an absolute bloodbath. The Dow, last I checked 5 minutes ago, down over 1,000 points. S&P down 3.5%. And what this does is it proves the point we've been making here for a long time. And that is that stocks are not trading on fundamentals. This kind of movement is the clearest possible sign of a late stage bubble, right? But he didn't discuss asset prices, right? He didn't mention it, let alone admit that the stock and housing markets are so distorted by inflated and cheap money and are likely to be crushed as they start to raise interest rates and embark on quantitative tightening. Now, this has never been done before on this scale, quantitative tightening. So I don't think the markets or the Fed really understand the effects of it. But here's the big issue. Dozen years of ultra loose monetary policy, it's left companies with the belief that if there's an issue, the Fed are going to step in, but they can't really do it anymore, right? They can't continue to prop it up because we're seeing inflation surging here in the United States. So Powell's trying to deflate a stock bubble without taking any responsibility for it. He's trying to stabilize prices without accepting that Fed's easy monetary policies has led to the price surge. And he's trying to remove a decade's worth of reliance from the Federal Reserve on the Fed put without admitting there's such a thing. He's trying to appease everybody. And in the process, there is zero chance that we have a soft landing. So everything we've been talking about starting to happen. It's crumbling around us.
This is the old Greenspan put. And let me tell you, what Cortez is, he's got something on Getter, and I've put out everywhere. People, the markets now feel the super cycle of inflation. The bond market got crushed, and the 10-year Treasury went over 3 today. This, you very rarely have where both things get crushed. This is an inflection point in this, and they don't have the tools. We're not a creditor nation. We're a debtor nation. Exactly. We have a massive trade imbalance. We had $125 billion in 1 month in March. Okay. We're over the Treasury with these discretionary spending. And what do they do on Capitol Hill? $33 billion bailout package for the oligarchs in Ukraine. It is sick. Phillip, how do people go now and check out and talk to you guys over at Birch Gold? By the way, the paper I've done with Phillip, The End of the Dollar Empire is ready. Where you go sign up for it. We're going to put it out tomorrow as soon as Phillip gives me his grammatical checks. Everybody is about the history of the Federal Reserve. Phillip, people want to talk to you guys more than ever. How do they get to you guys?
Listen, I think it's more important than it's ever been. So to reach us directly, birchgold.com/Bannon. Not only do you get access to that fantastic report, and there was no grammar corrections on my part. I appreciate you saying that. birchgold.com/Bannon. And you can reach me directly at Phillip Patrick on Getter.
I guess we've proved 5,000 years of history that gold is a hedge for hedge in dangerous times. Phillip Patrick, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Boris, I want to go back to you. Boris, sure. Phillip, thanks. The Birch Gold guys. Boris, I want to go to you. You're a street guy, a finance guy. You came out of Wall Street, but you also know politics. The bloodbath today, the polling on Joe Biden, and we start the first hour of the show with some reports from CNN. And was it Harry Kamen over there? Buried Biden. 77% of the American people, 77% think the economy is either poor or awful. 55% think it's directly related to his actions. Only 27% of the American people think that the economy's in some side of good shape. They've never had numbers like this, Boris. Never. This is because of the actions of the Biden regime. Boris Epshteyn.
Steve, if this country were a company, right, and Biden is supposedly the CEO, he would be fired in a heartbeat. Joe Biden and his pathetic team, and now the rats are deserting the ship. You saw Jen Psaki is leaving. Poor Karine Jean-Pierre, that's what they're putting up there. She's going to be walking into a disaster, not really equipped to handle it in terms of the team she has over there. It's a total mess. Joe Biden, the administration, everybody, by the way, has anybody ever heard of the head of the Council of Economic Advisors or head of the NEC? I think it's Brad Steen. Where's that guy been? In our first year, people disagree with Gary Cohn, but Gary would go up there and he would do press conferences, and then after him, you had Haslett, who's always out there. Where are the economic guys?
And Larry Kudlow or Peter Navarro. You had 4 or 5 guys that were economic experts in front of the microphone. Where are? I don't need to hear this from Joe Biden. When the markets are in total collapse, I don't need Joe Biden sitting there going, "Oh, I've cut $300 billion out of the deficit 1.5." Dude, that's just stopping the massive stimulus. That's a stone cold lie. It's a stone cold lie. The administration, this regime's got to have somebody step up to the microphone and walk us through what the plan is.
There's no adults. I mean, Cedric Richmond is already gone. People are deserting the ship in a way you've never seen. It is a disaster, and the American people are seeing it. And that's the thing. There's no spinning it. And because of today's media, Twitter, etc., social media, Getter, nobody's fooled. Nobody's fooled. And you're seeing that in the numbers, Steve. If, 30, 40 years ago, maybe, the party in power could kind of spin this and get away. Not anymore. The numbers don't, as Bill Parcells said, your record, you are what your record says you are, right? The numbers don't lie. And the numbers here are so terrible. And we've been saying this now for a year. Biden is a falling knife, and it's continuing to fall, and there's no floor. There's no bottom because the bad news keeps coming. And as we talked about today, this afternoon, Steve, this was the other shoe everybody was waiting on to drop. It's the stock market, and it appears to have dropped and to be dropping from here. This is terrible political news for the Democrats. Who knows how they're going to handle it? It's very likely going to be a summer of immense pain for them. And then come November, it's going to be the largest victory in the history of midterm elections, I believe, when we go and take 100 seats and control for 100 years.
I think you're going to start seeing now a massive splintering, not just over the abortion issue, but a massive splintering of the Democratic Party pointing fingers at each other. You're going to have the Bernie Sanders wing, the squad, Elizabeth Warren pointing fingers. We had Anna, was a Kasparian from Young Turks today. She went off on these guys not stepping up and helping families with the abortion thing. She said she's finished with the Democratic Party. Now, she's a populist on the hard left. But I think we're going to start to see the Democratic Party shatter in front of us because where's the plan? Where is the plan for the American economy? Boris Epshteyn hanging there. We got Eric Greitens with breaking news from Missouri. We've got we're going to West Virginia. We got Dave Bossie in Nebraska. He's going to give us an update of that. And West Virginia, we got Congressman Mooney's going to be on, show some of his spots, talk to him. We're packed in the second half. Boris is going to hang with us. Short commercial break. We're going to return with War Room Battleground. Eric Greitens on deck next.
War Room Battleground with Stephen K. Bannon.
Okay, I just want to make sure everybody understands CNBC. The headline on CNBC is and I want to read this verbatim. FDA limits use of J&J's COVID-19 vaccine for adults. The FDA said on Thursday it was limiting the use of Johnson & Johnson's COVID-19 vaccine for adults. The agency said it limited the use of the COVID-19 vaccine to individuals 18 years of age and older for whom other authorized or approved COVID vaccines are not accessible or clinically appropriate. Okay, we're going to get more details that we had Naomi Wolf. Pretty shocking news coming out of the FDA today in the middle of our Pfizer investigation on the 55,000 pages of documents. And I really want to give a hat tip to the War Room Posse. There's almost 3,000 members of this audience that are working actively in that investigation with over 250 lawyers. And already the letters are starting to go out to the state's attorney generals. It's just blockbuster. Remember, these documents are supposed to be under lock and key for 70 years or 75 years. A federal judge overthrew that. Ever since then, with Naomi Wolf and her leadership team, we've been all over this. But this is a massive breaking news about blood clots, thrombosis. So I think a lot of people are going to be eating crow here. They're called certain people like Naomi Wolf and Dr. Moran and others, nutcases and conspiracy theories. We're going to get to the bottom of all the facts. More reporting on that later. Also, I want to bring in now Eric Greitens, Commander Greitens, breaking news out of Missouri. Commander, can you tell us what happened today, the big developments out there in your Senate race, sir?
Yes, sir. The truth is coming to light on all fronts. And the big development here is that we had an extraordinarily nasty attack from Karl Rove, Mitch McConnell staffers who launched a series of false accusations against us. The judge went and looked and found that the dentist and the doctor said that these accusations were false, that they were lying. She looked at records from the therapist and the mediator, said that they were false, that this was a lie. She looked at their own emails and photographs, and she said that all these D.C. concocted Karl Rove accusations were lies. And today, the judge gave us complete access to all of the cell phone records from my ex-wife so that we can see when she was talking with Karl Rove and Mitch McConnell staffers. Huge development. The truth is coming to light. The truth is coming to light, and we've blasted through all of their lies.
Look, you've got a fantastic attorney, Tim Palatore. He's been on the show a number of times. Tell us where it goes from here, because this is a massive development. Get the phone records. Look, Karl Rove is a liar in this. He's been calling people all over town, whining, you got to call the dogs off or anything like that. No. We're going to take this to the bitter end. It has to be, because this is the way they try to stop MAGA. They don't come and want it. They can't debate policies. They can't debate what President Trump has done for the country and the power of the Trump movement. They have to do these slimeball tactics, and they think they're tough guys. This is why tough guys. We're going to crush some quote unquote tough guys. Some of the guys around, some of the lads, I call them, around. You notice they're all lads around Mitch McConnell. The guys around Mitch McConnell are terrible people. Mitch McConnell's a terrible person, right? Compromised by the Chinese Communist Party, right? And Karl Rove, they got Kemp down there in Georgia right now, down there kissing the ring of Bush in Dallas. They raising big money, right? Trying to bring Bush values into Georgia, which need Georgia values, not Bush values, and certainly not Karl Rove's values. Commander Greitens, where are you and your lawyers going to go from here now that you got access to the phone records?
Well, you were exactly right. Karl Rove is a disgusting coward. And because they are wrong on all of the issues, this is what they do. So now we're getting all of the phone records so that we can see exactly when they were talking. They have already committed 2 felony acts of perjury and filed a false report of abuse, which is a crime in Missouri punishable by up to a year in jail. We should have all of these records as soon as tomorrow, and we're going to dig in to see exactly how and when Karl Rove and these Mitch McConnell league staffers were involved in this vicious, nasty, false attack, and we're going to beat them.
Let me throw another name out there, Steve Wynn. Don't forget that either. Let's check that phone record too while here. Let's check that phone number too. If it's one from Nevada, if it's a couple from Nevada, I can tell you where that leads to. Commander Greitens, how do people find out more about you personally, more of your service to the country, your service to your state, and how they find out more about your campaign, sir?
Sir, we'd love to have every patriot who's listening right now come out, help us defeat the establishment. I was the first candidate in the country to say I'm voting against Mitch McConnell when I'm in the U.S. Senate. We need new America First leadership. Join us at ericgreitens.com. It's EricGreitens.com, and we are going to take our country back.
Eric Greitens, thank you very much. Can we go ahead and play? We've got Congressman. Let's go ahead and play these spots right now.
It comes down to one.
Alex is the only candidate in this race that has my complete and total endorsement.
Mooney's the only one protecting gun rights with the NRA's A rating and endorsed by gun owners of America. Mooney's our pro-life champion, endorsed by West Virginians for life. And Mooney's the one candidate who defended Trump from Pelosi's January 6th witch hunt.
He is a warrior for all of us. We elect Congressman Alex Mooney in the Republican primary.
I'm Alex Mooney, and I approve this message.
We interrupt this broadcast for a breaking MAGA alert. President Trump warned us about rhinos, sellouts, and known losers. David McKinley proved him right. Liberal David McKinley sided with Biden's trillion-dollar spending spree, Pelosi's anti-Trump January 6th witch hunt, and gun-grabbing leftists' plans to demolish our Second Amendment rights. On May 10th, vote for the only candidate Trump trusts to defend our values, conservative Alex Mooney for Congress.
I'm Alex Mooney, and I approve this message.
Okay, welcome back. We got Boris Epshteyn's riding shotgun with me. Want to get, because a little pressed for time, bringing Congressman Alex Mooney right now. People, because the Nebraska race, the Ohio race, Pennsylvania, Georgia, there's a very important primary in the great state of West Virginia, West by God, Virginia, next Tuesday. And this has gotten to be kind of a throwdown. President Trump and MAGA are supporting Congressman Alex Mooney, that people have known for a long time, and is a great guy and has always had President Trump's back. The other Republican congressman, the reason they lost a district, so they're both having to do a primary against each other, is backed by Joe Manchin. So this is a real throwdown. Congressman Mooney, thank you for joining us. Tell us, what are the 1 or 2 big issues in West Virginia, which is Trump country? What are the 1 or 2 big issues that people are focused on for next Tuesday?
Well, we're tired of all these total sellout, betrayal of public voters, state, all those. This was Trump's second state in the country. That January 6th, which committed, the left now wants everyone to be considered guilty or proven innocent. Around. That's a huge issue. And they're tired of all this crazy spending. I just finished knocking 30 doors here at West.
I tell you what, Congressman Mooney, but we're going to reboot you for a second or get you calling by phone because the connection's not good and we want to hear everything you've got to say. So let's just do a quick reboot from the staff in Memphis. Logan and the guys, if you can please do that. We want to hear Congressman Mooney. The ads are great. Boris, put in perspective for the audience what's going on here. This is another one that's a big deal. West Virginia, because they lost population. They got these two Republican congressmen. One's kind of a rhino. The other's hardcore MAGA. Joe Manchin's back in one. Donald Trump the other. Walk us through what the stakes are here in West Virginia, sir.
The stakes are high. And MAGA's got to turn out and get out there for Mooney because President Trump's endorsement has got to continue to carry that strength, that record that we know that it did in Texas, Indiana, and Ohio. And I mean, look at those ads. It's old school. It's hard hitting in West Virginia. That's old school politics there. If Manchin is backing a Republican member of Congress, that tells you all you need to know. So it's very important for us to show that President Trump continues to dominate West Virginia, which is one of the most, Missouri, West Virginia, maybe the two biggest blood red MAGA states out there. So it is vital. It is vital for MAGA to turn out, to back Mooney and get him over the finish line and continue to lead as we fight against rhinos all across the country. Look at what Eric Greitens just said. Rhinos, call Rove, others hit him hard with false, disgusting lies. Greitens fought back, and now he's going to be able to continue to fight against those who have besmirched them and those who have defamed them. So it's the fight is on against rhinos in West Virginia, in Nebraska, in Georgia. And Georgia, we keep talking about, you had John Gordon in the beginning. There is no place across the country more important than Georgia and that May 24th election. Because in David Perdue versus Brian Kemp, we have Brian Kemp, the Bush affiliated, now completely genuflected into the Bushes, raising money with them, the Bush puppet who stabbed MAGA in the front and the back, versus David Perdue, who's come out and said the 20 election was rigged and stolen. So as we are now in these 60 days of pain, each and every race is vital, from West Virginia to Pennsylvania to Alabama. But Georgia is first among equals because we've got to defeat Brian Kemp.
I want to go back and connect, make some connections here so people can understand. In Georgia and in Missouri, you got the same problem. The same problem as the Bush. Remember, the Bush apparatus does not want to give up control of the Republican Party, although the Republican Party is innervated and powered by President Trump himself individually, but also Trumpism and what MAGA stands for, and these principles of America first, these principles of make America great again, this economic nationalism, this populism, right? This ability to say, hey, do we really need to be putting $33 billion into Ukraine right now when the financial market's cracking down? Kemp is, in fact, Gordon's coming off really from retirement to run for AG for the simple reason is that he feels he owes it to his state. I mean, he's that kind of patriot, owes it to the country. And these AG jobs, you just saw Naomi Wolf. Naomi Wolf said, hey, we're sending letters out today to state attorney generals on the vaccine situation because we want to go after Pfizer at the state level. We don't care about going at right now about the FDA or the CDC. We want to go after the state level, and we're going to do it in state courts. You see what in Georgia, Kemp gets on a plane and flies to Texas to kiss the ring of the Bush apparatus with Karl Rove and that entire group. And Karl Rove today gets outed, right, by Eric Greitens, where they try to come in and kneecap Greitens. And the reason they try to do it with Greitens is that he's the most MAGA candidate, right? And he's the first guy to come up and say, hey, when I'm elected United States Senator, I'm not voting for Mitch McConnell as leader. Mitch McConnell's then put him on the death watch, Boris Epshteyn.
No doubt about it. And there's going to be some information coming out that's going to show that Eric Greitens continues to dominate that race. That if anything, the attack from Rove and McConnell's acolytes has actually given Eric Greitens more strength and made him tougher and made them be wider supported and broader supported by the MAGA patriots in Missouri, in the Show Me state. What's happening is that the MAGA movement has overtaken the Republican Party to the point where MAGA patriots have no interest in what these Republican swamp creatures have to say. And for Kemp to go out there and go to Texas instead of campaigning in Georgia to go to Texas and try to get some money from the bushes and kiss the ring. It says exactly who he is. And I cannot imagine one MAGA patriot in Georgia voting for Kemp on May 24th. We've got to be for David Perdue, all in to make sure MAGA wins in Georgia.
Okay, let's go to Alex Mooney. We got Alex on Congressman Mooney by phone now. We had a tough time getting a Skype connection. Congressman Mooney, tell us what the stakes are next Tuesday. President Trump's gone all in. You're pure MAGA. This is Joe Manchin and a rhino versus you and President Trump. What are the stakes in West Virginia, sir?
Yeah, my liberal rhino Republican opponent was also endorsed by Andrew Yang and the National Education Association. It is your classic liberal rhino Republican versus a fighting conservative. I'm so honored and pleased President Trump endorsed me. It's the voters of West Virginia. This is Trump's second best state in the country after Wyoming. And the voters are tired of these witch hunt commissions going on. My opponent outrageously voted for the January 6th commission to investigate Donald Trump and his allies. That does not represent the conservative values of West Virginia. If you drive through West Virginia today, you think the election's still going on. There's Trump signs everywhere, anti-Biden signs. This is Trump country. This is the first case where two incumbent members of Congress are running against each other. So it's a real battleground. And I just submit to the voters my name and the fact that I'm the only real conservative.
Walk through, how can people find out more about you and how can they find out more about your campaign and support you as we get down to the run up to this? It's on Tuesday. It's now Thursday evening. We know a lot of people in the War Room Posse are very interested in that. We have a huge audience in West Virginia. So Congressman Mooney, since you are the MAGA standard bearer, how do people find out about you?
Yeah, just my website's mooneyforcongress.com. It said the election's on Tuesday. If you or anyone you know lives in West Virginia, please ask them to get out and vote for the true conservative, the only candidate Donald Trump endorsed, me, Alex Mooney, mooneyforcongress.com.
Congressman Mooney, thank you. By the way, the spots are just absolutely incredible. So tell your team, great job. We see a lot of them. Those two are just really killer. Just great spots.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Congressman Alex Mooney, I want to go to Dave Bossie now. Dave's got a feeling for both what's happening with Charles Herbster out in Nebraska, but I want to go first. Dave, you know Congressman Mooney very well. You've been instrumental in his introduction to Donald Trump. You know West Virginia very well. Give us your assessment. Where do we stand in this race?
Those are great ads, and Steve, those are Rex Elsass and Ben Yoho ads. Those guys are the best in the business, and I got to tell you, I'm dedicated to Alex Mooney's victory. It's a must win. If everybody in America could just pay attention to what's going on here in West Virginia, you have the anti-Trump forces, the establishment getting behind this complete rhino, this swamp creature against a true patriot, somebody who came up through the conservative movement, somebody who worked and toiled in the vineyards for the conservative movement his entire life, Alex Mooney. And he deserves this victory. President Trump's all in for him. Alex is going to be in Pennsylvania at the Pittsburgh rally tomorrow, speaking at the rally there because that gets a lot of West Virginia media coverage. The president is going to carry him across the finish line, and it's essential that he wins.
This is another one in this string we've got. Dave, you know Charles Herbster very well. You've been very engaged out there with Corey and Kellyanne. Had a magnificent rally. And by the way, your part of that was incredible, great speech as one of the warm-up acts. Give us an assessment. I think we're going to have Charles on tomorrow. Walk us through what's happening in Nebraska. The race out there couldn't be any bigger, Trump versus the Ricketts establishment.
Yeah, it's stunning. It's really stunning, Steve. People think that they can be against Donald Trump and the Make America Great Again movement and not be held accountable. That's just a stunning thing, and we're seeing this in West Virginia. We're seeing it in Nebraska, and it is that the entire establishment has come out against Charles W. Herbster, an outsider, a businessman, a fifth generation rancher, somebody who has dedicated his life to creating jobs and creating multiple successful businesses across 6 or 7 states. This is exactly who you want to be your chief executive in the state of Nebraska. And so I got to just tell you, Governor Ricketts and his entire team has been dedicated to destroying, not just beating, but destroying Charles Herbster. And it's distressing to watch these attacks on a good man, a fine man. President Trump came out all the way to Omaha on Friday to campaign for him. He is doing right now, as we speak, a teletown hall statewide in Nebraska for Charles W. Herbster for governor. And I got to tell you, we're going to carry this thing. It's going to be close because the entire machine, statewide machine, is against him, is against Charles in this race. And it's shocking to me that they think that after the election, people are just going to say, oh, yeah, they're great conservatives. They're not.
Dave, I want to have you on Monday in the run-up to the eve of Nebraska and the eve of West Virginia, but also I got to get a report of you. You were out in Oregon. You've been all over. Dave, how do people follow you on social media, and how do they get to the Citizen United website?
Yeah, people should go to rigged2020.com, get a chance to watch our new film on Mark Zuckerberg. It's a stunning film, and I think you'll enjoy it. David_Bossie on Getter, the same on Twitter. Dave Bossie on Truth Social, and I'm up there. So please join us and go to citizensunitedfilms.com, and you can get a chance to see all of the Citizens United films, all the films I've done with Steve Bannon and many other great people.
By the way, the Rig 2020, Dave, I got to tell you, our audience is blown away by it. It's a great job. You and Meath have done an incredible job on that. Great work.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
Boris, you're going to join us back tomorrow. We got packed. We got Senator Perdue. We're going to have a packed show tomorrow morning starting at 10 o'clock, packed in the evening. A lot of financial and economic analysis, geopolitical analysis, and hardcore politics, and maybe even some lawfare about this, about what's happening with the abortion situation. Boris, how do people get your morning newsletter? How do they track you on social media?
Steve, always great to see Dave Bossie. Brings back great memories of the historic win in 2016. BorisCP.com is the website. Hot. BorisCP.com. Sign up right now. Hot on Getter at BorisCP, Twitter at BorisCP, Truth Social at Boris, hottest on the gram, Boris_Epshteyn. Stay strong, God bless, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., we're going to be back in the war room. It's going to be lit. So make sure you're there and strap in. See you tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., war room.